Hello! Welcome to my YouTube channel. Oh my god, I'm so excited. I honestly can't believe that I'm recording this video. I'm panicking a little bit, but we're just gonna go with it. For those of you who don't know who I am, my name is Matea Ridley. I am 23 years old and I am a mom and a wife, and currently very pregnant. This pregnancy has been pretty well. It was pretty good at the beginning. The last 2 months have been pretty stressful. So I had been toying with the idea of starting a YouTube channel for like a very long time. I'm actually embarrassed at how long I've been contemplating it, but I never did it. But I decided that now is as good as a time as any to just do it, just start. So that's what I'm gonna do. If you guys aren't following me on Instagram, be sure to follow me over there, because I asked on my Instagram stories what you guys would like to see first. I was gonna record, don't mind the nails, please. Don't mind the nails, don't mind the mess above my fridge. We're gonna pretend that this isn't a thing and that isn't a thing. I asked on my Instagram stories what you guys wanted to see first, what kind of video. So I gave the option of a pregnancy update or an everyday makeup routine that I do every single day. And the pregnancy update actually beat the makeup routine by quite a lot, which I was really surprised about. But I am really excited to document the last leg of this pregnancy, I guess I could say. And I'm really excited to just have these memories in video form forever. Like, I think that's one of the main reasons why I was so excited about starting a YouTube channel, was because I get to have these memories documented for the rest of my life, and that's really exciting. So that's why I'm here. So I wanted to update you guys a little bit on my pregnancy. I also wanted to talk a little bit about who I am and what you can expect from my YouTube channel. So like I said, I'm 23, I'm a mom. I have a 2-year-old son. He's actually at daycare right now, which is why the house is so freaking quiet. I'm married to my husband, Steven. My husband and I actually got married last October. We're creeping up on our first marriage anniversary, and on the 16th of this month actually will be our 6-year anniversary of us just like being together. So that's so exciting. I met him when I was 17. I was 17 years old when I met him. That is so crazy to me. And now we are married, we own our house, we have a family. It's just so crazy. It's so crazy how life works out. But before I start rambling, I have to remember why I'm here. I'm here to talk about my pregnancy. So I am very pregnant. I am hugely pregnant. I am 31 weeks pregnant. Actually, I didn't think that I was going to make it this far in my pregnancy at all, which is so insane to me. I've kind of had a rough history with pregnancies, you could say. I've been pregnant 3 times. The first pregnancy ended in a very early miscarriage. I didn't even know that I was pregnant. I didn't even know what a miscarriage was. I was very young. I think I was 18. When was it? I was 18 or 19, so I just didn't know. That's a whole other story. I can talk about that on a different video if you guys are interested. But my second pregnancy, I got pregnant with my son Cameron right after my husband and I got engaged. We had to postpone our wedding. So he is 2, and his pregnancy was kind of iffy. I was really sick and really exhausted. I'm somebody that struggles with anxiety and depression, so I think that kind of just like snowballed and kind of made the pregnancy worse for me than it would have been, if that makes sense. But I actually had recurrent UTIs throughout that whole pregnancy. I had, well, I don't want to say recurrent because I had one very early in the pregnancy and it was never treated properly. So I was prescribed antibiotics. I took the antibiotics, but it never went away. And it just kind of like progressively got worse and worse and worse. So I was like contracting my entire pregnancy. I ended up going into preterm labor with Cameron at 34 weeks. And then I went on to have him at 37 weeks. And Eden is just gonna go get comfy. So my first pregnancy wasn't ideal, it wasn't the best. Like I said, I was very exhausted. I was very, not all mentally prepared, I guess I could say. But I mean, God gives us what we can handle. So I went through that pregnancy. I had Cameron. The labor and delivery was amazing. It was probably the best labor and delivery that I could possibly think of for a first-time mom. So I'm really grateful about that. And then with this pregnancy, I've had kind of a rough go, just the last little bit. The first trimester, I mean, I had really bad morning sickness. I had really bad morning sickness with Cameron, but it was kind of like the entire pregnancy. But with this little guy, I had pretty bad morning sickness until I was 13 or 14 weeks, which isn't bad. And then this is insane to me, I got the magic second trimester energy that I hear about all the time, but never experienced. I got that with this pregnancy, so I was so excited. At the beginning of this pregnancy, I was like, no, we're gonna have 2 kids. 1, 2, that's it, 2.5 years apart, we're good, we're golden. And then I hit the second trimester and I was like, I could do this. I could have 3 or 4 babies, because Steven, my husband, he wants like 4 or 5 kids. He wants a huge family. And I was like, okay, let's do it. Second trimester came around. I was like, I got this. I'm a super mom. I can handle anything. Yeah, no. I am now in the 3rd trimester and I am sticking to my guns. 2 babies is good. We'll talk more about that another time. But this pregnancy, so the first trimester was pretty shitty. I had really bad morning sickness. Second semester. A second trimester was very awesome. I actually went on holidays with just my son and my family. Steven had to stay home and work, which sucked, but we went and we spent, I think it was 2.5 weeks. We went down south and it was awesome. I had the most energy ever. It was great. And then the 3rd trimester hit and holy moly. So I actually went into threatened preterm labor at 26 weeks pregnant. So it was actually a few weeks before my 3rd trimester. We live in a very small town and I was having Braxton Hicks, well, I thought it was Braxton Hicks contractions, and they were pretty uncomfortable. We were out looking, because we're looking to buy a second vehicle. We were actually out of town, about half an hour out of town, looking at a vehicle, and I was just sitting there and I felt really shitty. I felt really nauseous. I felt like I was gonna pass out. And then I told my husband, I was like, hey, like, I don't feel good at all. And I could feel the Braxton Hicks, they were coming and going, and I could feel that they were pretty consistent, but I wasn't able to time them because we were out of town. I wasn't laying down, I wasn't in my own environment. So I told him, I was like, we just need to go home. So I packed up, we got home. It was around, I'd say 8 o'clock when we got home. I got inside, I drank a ton of water, I had a shower. I was like, okay, like it's fine. Steven put Cameron to bed, and I went and I laid down, and then I was timing them, and I timed them for about an hour, and the contractions, they weren't painful, but they were just annoying. But they were happening every 5 minutes, and they were lasting for about 45 seconds to a minute. And I mean, I'm a second-time mom, so I know like labor contractions, they get progressively closer and closer and more intense. So because they weren't like hurting or painful, I wasn't extremely worried. And like I said, I went into preterm labor with my son Cameron at 34 weeks, and it was kind of the same thing. I was contracting, but it wasn't painful. So I called my midwife. Actually, no, I made Steven call my midwife. I had to get in the shower again because I was really, really uncomfortable. So Steven called the midwife, and bless him, he was trying so hard to explain the situation to the midwife, but he couldn't. So he ended up giving me the phone while I'm in the shower. I'm talking to my midwife, I was able to talk through contractions, which was another reason why I wasn't super like scared. But she told me that I needed to, once I was done in the shower, I needed to drink a full liter of water, and I needed to just lay down and continue timing them, because we wanted to make sure that this wasn't going to progress or anything. So I did that, and they progressively got closer together. I think I had one about 3 minutes apart. So then she advised me to go into labor and delivery. We got there at 11 o'clock at night, I believe, and they got me hooked up to the monitor, but because I was so small, I was only 26 weeks pregnant, the contraction, like the monitor that they hook you up to, they couldn't really register a contraction when I was having it. So I had to have a little button that I pressed every single time a contraction started and every single time it ended. And I did that for probably about an hour and a half. They did like a check, they did all sorts of tests on me, and it turned out that she thought that my cervix felt short. So if you're unfamiliar with pregnancy, your cervix shortens the closer that you get to delivery, and at 26 weeks it shouldn't be short at all. So she ended up calling, I think it was Vancouver Women's Hospital, and they were actually full. They couldn't get anybody in, so they ended up flying me to Edmonton, Alberta, and it was insane. Oh my God. Before I got flown out, I got given a shot of, can't remember what the name is. It's like to help babies' lungs develop quicker. It's a shot in the hip. And then I got given medication to stop the contractions, to hopefully make sure that they didn't get worse. I don't know if that makes sense, but they gave me medication to stop the contractions, and it made me so sick. I was traumatized. This happened, what, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31. Yeah, 5 weeks ago. And for the first 3 or 4 weeks, I was legit traumatized. It was the worst experience of my life, made me so sick. I was puking, I was shaking, I like had a fever, my heart rate was low. It was so bad, but it got the contractions stopped, thank God. I was able to get flown out. I got to the hospital in Edmonton at 5 in the morning. So I went all night, all morning without eating, without sleeping. It was brutal. If you're pregnant, you know how brutal that is. And then I ended up seeing an obstetrician in Edmonton, and she advised me to take it easy, not walk, and they got an emergency ultrasound booked for the next day. So I was able to get an ultrasound done. They were able to measure baby, make sure he was okay, make sure he was healthy. And then they were able to measure my cervix, and thankfully my cervix was very long. The midwife in my hometown where I'm from, she just did like an internal exam. She didn't have an ultrasound machine or anything. So she said that she wasn't sure, 100% sure that my cervix was short, but she said just in case that because it felt short, she said just in case that it was short, they were gonna send me out. So when I got the ultrasound done, I was like very put at ease. I was very excited that my cervix was long and closed. That meant that it was gonna be okay. So I got discharged from the hospital. I was in the hospital for one night, I believe. Yeah, one night. And then I got discharged from the hospital, but they wanted me to stay in the city for a few more days just in case I started having contractions again. Like I said, we're from a very small town, so having a baby at 26 or 27 weeks is just not an option in our city. So they wanted me to stay in Edmonton for a little bit. We ended up staying in a hotel for 3 or 4 nights, and then my obstetrician called because she got the results from the ultrasound, and she said everything was good to go. I was to go home, talk to my midwives here, make a plan with the obstetrician in my town, and it was good to go. But it was good to go home, totally, but I was like super anxious. I was super stressed out that I was gonna go back into labor. It was so bad. I was in a lot of pain. They gave me progesterone suppositories when I was in the Edmonton hospital. They gave me 2 pills, and they're like that big. But they gave me 2 of them, and that was to help with any changes, to help keep the cervix from changing, basically. And I had really bad side effects from that medication as well. I was in a lot of pain. I couldn't walk. Like going pee was hell. I couldn't sit in a bathtub. I couldn't lay down. And that lasted for about 2 weeks, I think. It was really bad. But it eventually went away, thank God. And then I hit 28 weeks, I believe, and then I started having contractions again. And so I called my midwife. She told me to come into the hospital, make sure everything was okay. So this is about a week and a half, 2 weeks after I got home. And so I went into the hospital. She checked me. She said that my cervix felt like shorter than, it was 4.2, I think it was in Edmonton. She said it felt about 3.5, so it was definitely shorter than it was in Edmonton, but she didn't think that it was anything to worry about. And thank God they stopped on their own. They were Braxton Hicks, but not, I don't know. I've been told plenty of different things, that like Braxton Hicks, like contractions are contractions, whether they're labor contractions or Braxton Hicks, they're still like readying your body for labor. So they stopped like consistently. I still have them all the time now, but they aren't consistent, they aren't regular. I can't time them, which is good, really good. So they stopped in the hospital. She sent me home, and it turned out that I had a bladder infection, which sucks. I don't know. My cousin is like a goddess pregnant woman. She like doesn't have any issues during her pregnancy. She's just like this glowing goddess, radiant woman. And I'm just this frump. Like I was talking to her and I was like, yeah, I have another UTI. And she's like, oh my God, like, is that is that normal? And I was like, oh my God, I don't know. So I had to talk to my midwife. I was like, am I broken? Like, is there something wrong with me? And she's like, no, UTIs and bladder infections are actually super common in pregnant women. And she definitely put my mind at ease. But turns out I had a bladder infection, and that was what was causing my contractions. So we got that figured out. I was on antibiotics, and then I also had, I got referred to the obstetrician gynecologist in our town. And while I was there with him, we talked about all my options. We talked about everything and like how to keep myself from going into labor. So what he decided, I was to go on an antibiotic, a low dose antibiotic every single day until I'm 36 weeks, just to kind of prevent any bladder infections or anything from happening throughout now until 36 weeks, because 36 weeks is when they can safely deliver in my hospital. So I got prescribed a low dose antibiotic. I've been taking that for about a week and a half, almost 2 weeks. And then he also prescribed me a progesterone suppository again, and I panicked because I was in so much pain with the progesterone that they gave me in the hospital in Edmonton. I was like panicking. I didn't want to spend the rest of my pregnancy like that, but we talked about the options, and there's actually 2 different forms of progesterone suppositories, and thankfully there's one, it's a gel. So the gel, he said, it's kind of more natural. It doesn't cause as many side effects. Like, there's still side effects, but they're not as brutal as the pills would be. So I got the gel, and I've been using that consistently for just about 2 weeks as well. And I'm very happy with the way things have been going. I am very tired, but I mean, that comes with having a toddler and being hugely pregnant. And I have had Braxton Hicks contractions, but they have been quite painful. My midwife told me that it's okay. I actually have 2 more ultrasounds booked to measure the growth of baby, because my son Cameron, he was very, very small when he was born. He was born at 37 weeks and 3 days, and he was only 5 pounds 3 ounces. So he was a teensy little baby. And the obstetrician in Edmonton wanted to make sure that we were kind of keeping an eye on this baby to see how well he was growing, because she didn't want me to deliver prematurely and have a really, really, really small baby. So I have 2 more ultrasounds booked. I actually have one at the end of this week. We're gonna check the length of my cervix again, and then we are going to check on the growth of baby, make sure everything's going good. So that's really exciting. And then as soon as I hit 36 weeks, I get to stop taking my antibiotics. I get to stop taking the progesterone and let my body do whatever. I could go into labor 36 weeks. I could go into labor at 40 weeks. We don't know. But as long as I'm not going into labor at like 27 weeks, I'm fine. I'm totally fine with it. So yeah, that's about this pregnancy update. I don't know what else I could talk about. Oh, I have been feeling very heavy. And that sounds so funny because I'm like pregnant and I'm huge. But my midwife, both of my midwives have been talking to me about, because this is my second like big pregnancy, gravity is like working against me. So I've had to have my belly taped, KT tape, like sports tape. I tape up my belly, it works really, really good. I'm looking into getting a belly support band, but I'm not quite sold on them because you can only wear them during the day, and like over clothes, you can't sleep in them, you can't, all that sort of stuff. So I'm kind of liking the tape option. I'm peeing every 30 minutes. I'm actually surprised I got through this whole video without having to go pee. And the last week or so, I haven't been hungry. I don't know. My appetite isn't like where it was this entire pregnancy, but I don't know. It'll probably be gone by my next pregnancy update. What else? Oh, I have noticed that I am retaining a lot more water. So my cheeks, I feel, are like puffy. I've lost, like I said, when I got pregnant this time, I wasn't at my healthiest. So I've been losing weight consistently this pregnancy. And I lost about 22 or 23 pounds, which my midwife informed me was totally okay. I was healthy. I'm healthy now, which is just what we need. But I did notice that my face has been a little puffier. My fingers, sometimes my rings can't come off. And yeah, that's basically it. I think that's about it for just regular pregnancy symptoms. Yeah, so that's that. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please subscribe. Oh my God, I can't believe I'm saying that. Please subscribe if you want to keep up with pregnancy updates. I am planning on doing like some beauty related stuff. I'm kind of obsessed with makeup, so I think that would be really fun to dive into. I also plan on doing vlogs. I'll introduce you guys to my little family. Yeah, that's about that. So thank you guys so much. Please give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. Be sure to subscribe, and if you're not already following me on Instagram, be sure to do that. I would love to have you over there. And yeah, I hope you guys have a good day. I was gonna say weekend. I don't know when this is gonna go up. I just hope you guys are having a really good week. Okay, bye.